the reason that I started coaching was because like every time I wanted to change jobs, it felt like like a career identity crisis. Like I felt like there was just like I wanted to figure out something that was like the right fit for me, as opposed to trying to fit myself into this box, right? That like it feels bad when you're like, here are all the boxes, right? Like when you're job searching and you're like, I don't fit into any of these boxes, and it like feels bad, right?
Yeah.
So like having navigated many, like sometimes still, I mean, I love being a coach, but I still have moments where I'm like, wait, am I doing the thing that I,
Yes.
want to be doing? Like, am I making the impact that I want to make? Um, and yeah, so my coaching has really like grown into this like um, kind of curation of tools and skills that I am now sort of helping my coaching clients like build their toolkits, right? So it's skill building, but it's also like, you know, uh, having been a coach for a few years now and um, learned more like skills, right? More coaching skills, um, and helping people figure out what they want and what they need. Um, it's been like, it's been a bit more, I mean, there's always like confidence building pieces in it too, but it's self-discovery in addition to like building your toolkit to handle any career, you know, like transition, yes, but also like you were saying, like the tough conversations, right? Having tools in your toolkit to handle those tough conversations. One of the like, I have a workbook for clients that sign up for a package of coaching sessions with me, and one of the modules in that we talk about is compassionate confrontation, right? And having like tough conversations with people. Um, and that applies outside of work too. So yeah. Um, so without like calling it holistic, it's a bit holistic. um, yeah, and it's squishy, right? Like it's very flexible. Like if you say, I want to be working on trying to figure out what my non-negotiable needs are so that I can job search, cool, like let's do that. Or if you're like, I'm trying to figure out, um, how to present myself for getting a promotion into a leadership role, absolutely, like we can do that, and you can change your mind too. That's kind of the beauty of this. So my kind of general sort of working framework, if you will, is like excavate, invigorate, advocate. Came up with cute names for every two. So the excavate is recognizing where that self-doubt comes from. Like, what are the voices in your head saying? What does that inner bully voice sound like? So that you can be aware of it. Like, oh, my inner bully is being an asshole right now, right? And then invigorate, like making sure that you have tools to shift that voice, right? The voice isn't going to like necessarily go away, but being able to like ignore it and shift into like doing something that's energizing that's what's going to help you accomplish your goals, right? Rather than like feeling stuck. Um, and then the advocacy piece, which is like having those tough conversations, being able to like talk about yourself, being able to feel good, like going into an interview and be like very matter of factly about what like rocking what you got.
Yeah.
So that's a bit about like my framework, but along the way we're kind of like building, I keep using this term, like building your toolkit, and that's going to be custom to you. So there are going to be times where we do like visualization exercises, and you're going to be like, you know, that visualization of walking in the woods and that was like really impactful for me. And I'd be like, perfect. Okay, that's like a new tool for your toolkit. When you're feeling X, then you can like, go into that like visual space. A lot of folks who are neurodivergent are very like, they like the visualizations, they like the somatic body stuff. So we'll talk about things like does this thing feel in your body, and like how do we like shift how that feels in your body, right? Because it's not all happening in your mind, it's happening in your body too. So and then the other thing I should say too is we have fun. Like I usually have clients leave being like, wow, that was so fun. So what we're doing is serious work, but it's also like we can't take ourselves too seriously. So it should be fun. We'll like, some of those visualizations can get kind of silly, and yeah, it helps, right? Part of the work that we can do is figuring out like, what is your leadership style? What does it look like, so that you can talk about that very confidently, and help you know what support looks like for you, what support you need from your managers and your bosses, so that you can be set up for success in a management role. Yeah, I think that that's probably going to help a lot in your search, because you're going to be able to like talk about it.
Yeah.
Even though it sounds like you haven't managed a team in the past, you're confident that you can do it, right? But being able to speak to that is going to be like the game changer. And then you said the biggest thing that you're working to overcome is the self-doubt and the voices in your head. So that's a big part of what I'm doing with coaching clients. Some of it is like, okay, here's actions that you can, some energizing actions that I can take to move me towards, my goals. But it's the getting unstuck piece. That's the juicy stuff right there, that's the excavation piece that I was talking about before. Like really like, where do these voices come from, and how can we excavate them, is going to be unique to you. And like actually creating some new associations. When you think about having a tough conversation with someone, that association might be fear, and it might be like cringe, and it might be like your body tightens up, right? And so we can actually like work to help you create a different association. Maybe it's excitement, maybe it's calm, maybe it's like collaborative problem solving, right? Like something along those lines. And you can make more visual and more like sensational, but and memorable. So that anytime, then that feeling sort of generalizes anytime you're feeling like nervous about a tough conversation. It's sort of like, okay, I know how to do this. Like I can do this. Yeah. But sometimes it's like getting your body into that like other state of mind.
Yeah.
So tools in the toolkit to help you make that shift.
Yeah.
And like I said, that can be really fun. Some of the tools that I use are like unconscious pattern disruption. So one of those patterns is how we talk to ourselves. So learning to interrupt those patterns and create new ones, right? And hopefully that new pattern is like the inner, listen to the inner cheerleader voice. You got this. That's kind of where I start, is like getting to know you. And my job as a coach is to help you figure out what works best for you. So for some people, they come in and they're like, I love homework. I love self-reflection. I love, like doing the work outside of the sessions. Like, perfect, cool. We can totally we can work with that. And then there are some people who are like, I really just want to like talk through tough stuff during our sessions. Like, I'm not going to be able to focus on like having homework or having a workbook or whatever. That's totally fine. We can, that's like, it's a bit of what you make of it, right? But also, like, we're going to try to figure out what works for you so that you can achieve, take steps towards achieving those goals. So yeah, I'm flexible. Like I said, it's squishy. I'm sure there are some coaches who come in and they're going to be like, this is how I do it. This is like, this is the way that I've seen it work for my clients. But I have a lot of folks coming in to my world that are like, I'm neurodivergent, or I'm, like just coming out of crisis mode and still learning how to regulate my nervous system. And like, I'm gonna meet everyone where they're at. Toxic professionalism, when you hear that, you like kind of know what that is, because you know how it feels in your body. And it's this pressure to be like, I'm supposed to be this way. I'm supposed to fit into this box. I'm supposed to be perfect and be people pleasing. That's part of like what we need to excavate, right? So we're talking about leadership, and there are these models of leadership that have been presented to us. Like, this is what leadership looks like. This is what it's supposed to be. And if we don't fit into that, it feels like that's where the self-doubt creeps in, right? So part of this process is unlearning that, and like recognizing like, oh, okay, that's toxic professionalism. That's not how I want to be a leader. That's not what I bring to the table. Like, I want to be collaborative. I want to be supportive. I want to be, inclusive, things like that. Having those tough conversations and feeling the fear can be natural, but sometimes the fear can also be associated with like, I'm supposed to do this like a robot, right? And that doesn't feel good. And like you said, those bad feelings, like you feel it in your body, and then almost feels like it almost feels like they're stored in your body, right? And so we got to create some new neural pathways to like kind of break that pattern. So typically I'm working with folks who are like not even job searching yet, right? Yeah. They're kind of like preparing for the job search. They're trying to figure out what the job search is even going to look like. What are they going to put on their resume? What search terms are they looking for, right? Who are they talking to? Who are they networking with? Figuring out like what's energizing to them, right? What's energizing to you first, and then actually going through the job search, as opposed to kind of like casting a wide net and being like, when you're looking for everything, it's hard to find something.
Yes.
Like the world is your oyster, but also that's really overwhelming. So
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're actually kind of like, the timing sounds pretty perfect. The way that I support clients moving forward is like, I'm not helping folks with like resumes and cover letters and things like that. There are a lot of resources out there for that. But like, if you were nervous for an interview and wanted to like talk through it, we could do that. If yeah, if you just got stuck being like, I don't even know what my skills are and how to talk about those, like, perfect. Let's tackle that. And you will walk away with like, you know, that um, whatever it is that you like come into the session needing, you know. So there is a bit of a like a journey that we can go on just based on sort of the tools that I've curated already. But I will always ask you, like, is there something that you want to work on together today? So we can carve out time to do that specifically. Yeah,
Okay.
so I'll give you a link to my calendar and you can just schedule as you want. I have flexible scheduling policy just because some days you just don't have the spoons, some days I don't have the spoons, and but yeah, you can like you don't have to go through me to schedule things. You can schedule them on your own. Um, so yeah, you've linked my calendar and no. So I have sort of starter packages like 4 sessions, 8 sessions, 12 sessions. Um, and the way the pricing works is it's 175 per session, and then $50 for the workbook. So that's kind of like how the pricing works out. And the frequency, so what I say is like, if you're somebody who wants to keep momentum, right? If your goal is momentum, like let's meet every week or every 2 weeks. If you feel like you prefer spaciousness to kind of like process what we're talking about in the sessions and you need more time, like we can meet less frequently. But I find that like more than 2 weeks,
Yeah.
it's like you kind of lose momentum. So again, it's just sort of like depends on what your you know, what speed you're comfortable with.